Good morning. I'm Stephana, your holistic mentor, and it's Monday morning. Here is your Monday morning mentoring for the week. Third week in October, we're getting the pruning done and getting rid of things that don't serve us. That's thoughts, that's people, that's relationships, that's actions, that's patterns, habits. We're looking at it all and we're pruning the vine. It is really a difficult thing to do, and I'm going to tell you why. We have set up in our brain peptides that are addicted to those patterns, those emotions, those relationships, and that is why it is so hard, and that is why you cannot use willpower to make those changes, like losing weight or stopping eating the candy or getting rid of a relationship that is negative, or keeping that cycle from happening again and again by getting into poor relationships, or on and on and on. Lack of business success, you name it. It doesn't matter what category it's in. It still comes back to this. Now, this week we're going to focus on two things. I'm going to give you two homework assignments. One is that I want you to research Candace Pert. Dr. Candace Pert is the scientist who came up with or discovered the concepts around the peptides and how the neurons fire and become addicted. The brain actually becomes addicted to the bad or the negative experiences, because that's how you then start identifying yourself. And it's not for me to get into on this specific Monday morning mentoring, but I want you to just take a moment and research a little bit about Candace Pert and the work that she did. Significant component to our well-being and to how we can lead our lives instead of constantly managing the crap, the old patterns, the emotions, the old things, and just keep managing that stuff to try and live a better life. We will never reach our goals. We will never achieve our dreams if we don't address that piece, the piece that is, and be aware of this piece, that those peptides are alive in you, they're active in you, and the only way to change them is to, one, be aware of it and to acknowledge what it is. You can't fight against it. You can't, the more you resist it, it's just going to keep coming back, and you're going to get into this situation of that push-pull. And there's a lot of new age woo out there, and there's like, you can law of attraction it and glow it right, and you know, there's a lot of false information out there. There's a lot of misleading information out there, and there's just a lot of plain wrong and stupid stuff out there. And then there's some things out there that have a little bit of truth. And then there's a world that is really a mess. And as people who are good and have that sense of themselves and that awareness that they know something's got to be different, we've got to do something different than what's been happening, we seek out answers. And so because we have this World Wide Web, we have so many answers, but if we don't ask the right question, we're going to keep finding endless answers. And believe me, there are endless answers. So you've got to ask the right question. And what I'm asking you to do through October is to prune the vine enough that you can peel back all of these layers to get down to what is for you. The only thing that's important to me for you to understand is that you need to know you. And you can't, until we actually know ourselves, it's really difficult to make the next steps, whether that's success in a relationship, success in your own personal life, well-being, happiness, health, whatever your goals are. You have to know yourself. And if we keep seeking the answers outside, we are going to get the wrong answers always. And yet there's folks who will continue to want to assign an authority, that authority over their lives, and have those answers be more truthful, more right than the answer that they're going to find by getting quiet and going into that space. I am going to share with you, this just popped into my head. My grandmother was a healer, and she was very into Edgar Cayce. as a student of Edgar Cayce, I remember reading some of her books, and then we would talk about it. And one of the images that remains embedded in my brain is this idea that Edgar Cayce talked about removing the head so that you could get clear. Now, it's an allegory, just like the stories in the Bible. This is an analogy of you've got to remove this piece that is that part of you that is constantly judging, thinking, and separating you, separating you from your truth, from your goodness. Fundamentally, and this is what I teach at Yogilachi, this is what I teach in my workshops, we are 90% perfect. I see that in everyone. I know, and I hold to that, and I focus on that highest good and that perfection in. And then there's 10% that is that piece that's fallen away, or that's gotten distracted, or that's the vines have creeped up and choked away and dulled that 90%. There are so many analogies on this. Buddhism with the mud, and there's so many great stories that give this analogy. So hopefully you can get this. You have to get quiet. And it seems so simple that I'll just say, well, it's meditation. That is the answer for what you have to do, but it takes practice. And I don't mean meditating on a sound or words. That's just more input. You have to get quiet and go up into the pineal, and where there is a space like the third eye. We talk, there's, again, these are allegories, these are ideas. So I want to put out there that what I'm feeling like here is this Monday morning mentoring. I love doing this, and I love having these discussions because I always get at least one email saying thank you and here's my question, and then it inspires me to do other things. But what I believe needs to happen now, especially with this whole Me Too of the sexual abuse, and there's going to be so much copying going on. And it doesn't mean or make less of the experiences of people who have been sexually abused. I spent years helping people heal, as well as myself heal from sexual abuse and trauma. I spoke to thousands, if not tens of thousands of people around the world on sexual abuse years and years ago, and up until a few years ago, focusing on being someone who wanted to help people heal, and wrote Finding Joy Beyond Trauma. Stories that are about healing and also strategies for thriving. The thing that's really important to understand here, though, is that what is occurring, especially because it's now in the media and being perpetuated, and now it's like pinging off of everyone's experiences that are in the past, is it's triggering this response back and forth where there's billions of cells now being triggered within us, within the people who don't know how to handle that. And then this is going to trigger so much more of a dwindling spiral that we do not need. So you have to get cause over your life. You have to get cause over your emotions. You have to get off the internet if you cannot cut the distractions. I had to myself just to get off Facebook, get off these places, because it's very addictive. It's set up that way. It was developed that way. But you also, as a business owner, have to use it as a tool. I teach it in my workshops as a tool to use, but you have to understand it's a tool. And if it's used improperly, it will backfire and it will choke you. So we have to really get on this and get on it fast, because the media will spin this out, and the drug companies will put people on drugs, and then we are just going further and further and further down that dwindling spiral that we don't need. We have got to come back up of it. We've got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and get the heck out of this degraded, evil place that is really trying to get its claws in us as we move out of it, because we are moving out of it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so much of this confusion. There is that, and ultimately I hold to that, and I believe that we will make it out of this trap, out of this evil stuff, because there are enough of us fighting and working towards good, and we care, and we will fight, and we have constant alertness and constant willingness to stand up and speak. It can't just be me too. It sucks. It completely sucks. I was abused as a child. I have been through the gamut, so I get it. It sucks. And we should absolutely have the right to speak up, and we should also be taught and be protected and all of that. Yes, yes, yes. And now we have to lead our lives, and we have to lead our children, and we have to lead our world, and we have to lead our village, whatever influence we have, whether it's our moms groups, whether it's our little, whatever it is, we have to lead where we can and get the support where we can get the support, where there's correct support. Please do not go on drugs. Okay, so I'm saying this as, clearly I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing or whatever, but we cannot drug ourselves out anymore. We cannot numb ourselves out with media, sex, porn, insanity. We can't contribute to that. Movies, the same difference. We watch these movies and go and numb ourselves out, or read a book and numb ourselves out, or whatever it is that takes us away from focusing and really confronting what is. I know it's uncomfortable, but there is this perpetuating process of it, and we've got to. So we've got to prune the vine. There are tools that we can use in finding joy beyond trauma. I'm going to post that link again, so you guys, if you need it, you can get the 21 tips and tools to turn the drama, take the drama out of the trauma, because that's what perpetuates this, is the drama. It is what it is. If I go in and dramatize all the experiences of being abused and basically living out of my head on the ceiling because my body was being physically and sexually abused repeatedly, I would not be whole or sane. You have to get out of that space and not identify yourself as that. It happened. Doesn't make it right, wrong, bad. It happened. There's healing that has to go on. And now, what are you going to create? I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Right here, right now, in this moment, is the past. It's here because of what we've thought, done, our habits, our behavior, our beliefs. This right here, right now, is a manifestation of the past. It is not the present, and the only way we can change it is from within. Okay, I'm Stephana Johnson, your holistic mentor. Peace and blessings.